Hello classy people, this is Josh the Top Hat Gamer, and this week I'm reviewing Grow Up. Every once in a while it's good to step back from some of the bigger, more spectacular games on offer to look at something more simple and unassuming. Last year's Grow Home was one such title that offered a unique, charming experience without requiring a massive time or financial investment. With a successor having been released, it's time to see if Grow Up manages to improve on the original. Grow Up places you in control of a little red robot named Bud, who is stranded on an unfamiliar planet after a stray asteroid destroys his spaceship, known as Mom. Mom's parts are scattered all across this wildly varied planet, and Bud will have to use all of its skills plus some new talents to gather and rebuild the broken ship. As far as plots go, Grow Up is rather thin, but it's more motivation than the previous game gives you, so that's something. To give the game some credit, its admittedly tiny cast of characters are rather endearing, thanks to the game's incredibly simple text-based dialogue and the adorable beeps and boops emanating from Bud and its companions. Aside from some endearing sound effects used to convey speech, Grow Up has some very soothing sound design, from the soft buzzing of monitors to the bubbly soundtrack. It's hard not to feel good while playing Grow Up, especially when the pleasant audio design combines with the game's colourful, blocky world. There are a few feelings that parallel the first time you see the curvature of the planet after climbing as high as you can as well. It's surprisingly spectacular. The fact that the world of Grow Up can elicit such joy is helpful in keeping exploration interesting. Exploring the world and collecting the various parts of Mom is the core element of the game after all. Thankfully, how you make your way across this alien world is much more open than in the previous game, where ascending through the game required you to ride and direct the game's gigantic star plants through the various levels on offer. While there are a few star plants around to make your adventure a bit easier, not all the world's highest points are accessible using them. Often you'll find that you need to experiment with different types of plant life to catapult or float yourself higher, and for the most part this is a fun and interesting way to get you interacting with the planet, especially since you can scan and replicate flora at any time you see fit. There are a couple of plant forms that seem rather useless, and wrestling with the game's loose physics can often be more of a challenge than it should be, but for the most part, climbing to the highest peaks in search of ship parts is really fun. Except for the actual climbing, which is slow and clumsy to say the least. You do have access to a few abilities to assist you in your search, and these can be upgraded by searching for crystals that are scattered rather plentifully across the map. The skills can seem a bit pointless at first, but access to an air brake is incredibly useful when you consider that most of your deaths will be at the hands of a long fall, and once you get your head around the basics of gliding and charging Bud's ball form, you'll find that you can combo these mechanics alongside some of the more helpful plant life to make a huge impact on how you travel through Grow Up's wonderful world. With solid core gameplay, I was delighted to find that Grow Up also featured some genuinely entertaining side challenges, though these amount to little more than checkpoint races. The game has been Ubisofted a bit, and having so many side challenges tends to clutter the map a bit, but for the most part, these challenges help to pad out an otherwise brief game. But brevity is part of Grow Up's charm, to be entirely honest. This isn't an 80-hour RPG. This is an exploration of a small alien planet that you could be done with in a mere couple of hours. Frankly, if Grow Up's core experience had been any longer, there's every chance that I would have gotten sick of it. As it stands, Grow Up manages to avoid outstaying its welcome while providing a charming experience with some new mechanics that actually add some gameplay on top of the simple design of its predecessor. The uselessness of most plants you encounter does put a damper on the game's new plant copying mechanic, and you'll find yourself struggling with the game's physics more than you probably like, but Grow Up is a good time nonetheless. Grow Up gets the Top Hat Gamer rating of good. Grow Up is simply charming, from its mostly solid mechanics to its bright and cheerful visuals and audio, and if you are a fan of the original game, chances are you'll find plenty to enjoy about this one. And considering its budget price tag, it's definitely worth trying out. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the review informative. If you missed last week's review on Deus Ex Mankind Divided or my list of the top 10 cyborgs in video games, click the annotations. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going exploring.